Liam, it's been a couple of days of rest for the players following Saturday, but for you, I know you'll have watched the game back once, if not twice, maybe three times. Do you have any further reflections on the QPR match from watching it back?
No, very, very similar, I think, to what we probably felt with the emotion after the game at the weekend. It's just as frustrating watching it back, to be honest. But again, I think sometimes stepping back, giving yourself a bit of time, bigger picture stuff, that opportunity to reflect where the group's at. I thought we looked slightly fatigued mentally at the weekend, which, like I said, the players, their output for 2.5 months when you're playing every 4 days has been relentless. So it definitely wasn't for me through a lack of attitude or respect for QPR or trying to be the best versions of ourselves. It was, I just thought some of the decisions we made were not where they have been and what we know we're capable of. So there was a lot of frustration. But again, I think when I look at it, it's the last 8 games we've had in such a condensed period. It's the first time in them 8 games where we probably faced a bit more of a block and we've had to control the game a little bit more. So I think that in terms of in itself is obviously something that we need to work on, something that we need to get better at. I think the games before that where teams have kind of pressed us and got after us a little bit, we've shown that we're really comfortable out of possession as well as building up against pressure. So fully aware where the group's at. I've been delighted with so many aspects of it. It's been a relentless period where we've learned a huge amount. And stuff that we now have to take into the training weeks we've got coming up and ultimately improving going forward.
We don't want to focus on Saturday or the past too long. You've been back out on the pitches with the players today. How's it been?
Yeah, good. We had a review of the game at the weekend, so we looked at all the things that we feel we can improve. So again, that process of looking at some of the positive things, but this morning's meeting was more around how do in future situations, how do we make sure that we come out on top? How do we make sure that when we dominate games, how do we turn it into more chances? How do we keep the opposition penned in and keep control of the game? So we used that opportunity this morning to kind of review the weekend and then went out and trained. Energy was really good, atmosphere was really good, extremely competitive as always. And it was, like I said, it was a good opportunity to move on from Saturday.
You've spoken a lot about having more of that time on the pitch. More coming up, obviously not loads, but what are you able to offer us any insight in what particular focus might be when you've got more time to prepare for a game?
Yeah, I think it's, especially how we're working, it's around learning the game and understanding the game. So I think what we try and do with the players is give them real clarity in each of the phases of their game. And I think what that then allows you to do is create alignment so the players know what their jobs are and what's expected of them. But also allows you to repeat good, which I think is the most important thing. So like I said, we put such an emphasis on the defensive side of the game, which I'm sure lots of people will have seen in the previous games. And obviously we put a big emphasis on build-up, which again I think you've seen in previous games. So now it's, of course we have to revisit. We have to make sure that, just because you've done it well in a handful of games doesn't mean it's learned and it's nailed on. So we have to revisit work to make sure that, the out of possession, that we're really clear and we become even better at it. And then some of the stuff in possession, especially, obviously the weekend beat the block, understand, if a team comes and puts, all their players behind the ball, how do we, of course have possession, but how do we now turn that possession into, building momentum? How do we turn it into box entries? How do we create it? How do we turn it into more shots on goal? So there'll definitely be some of the bits, and like I said, it's that balance of introducing new things as well as revisiting, work that we've already done.
You and your coaches have been relishing some extra time. How do you guys as a coaching staff decide what to focus on? Is it what you've seen on the pitches? Is it what you've seen out in games? What is it that helps you decide that focus?
Yeah, a combination of two. It tends to largely be me and Huggy having a chat around numerous aspects. And again, I think there's a balance. I think there's key windows where you kind of hit things that you feel the group need and the players need. As well as then obviously I think you try and tie some of it into maybe when what you've got coming up the week ahead. So when you've got a certain game and what it might look like is do you start dropping little bits in at the start of the week and then obviously refine it and make it more detailed by the end of the week. So it's a combination. We have a discussion as a staff, what we're going to cover. Again, it's that balance. I think there's a real tendency we've got a training week that you want to cram loads of information in and hit them with loads of physical work and do loads of sessions, but you also have to be mindful of the period we've just had. So it's that balance of finding the right physical, psychological amount of work for the players.
One player not out there, unfortunately, was Sam Bell, picking up an injury on Saturday. Do we have an update on his fitness?
Yeah, not good news, unfortunately. He's picked up a really bad hamstring injury, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, he's going to require surgery. So really gutted. He was in a terrific spot. I thought his performance level, I know I've said it numerous times in post matches, I thought his performance level had really progressed, and I think he's a good example of, a lot of the coaching, a lot of the teaching we do is around, the reliability and doing what the team needs and what do you look like on a bad day as well as a good day. And I thought his reliability, he's doing his job for the team, was at an exceptional level. And I think sometimes your strengths can, kind of be pushed to the back a little bit when you're concentrating on so much on that. But I really felt the last sort of 2-3 games he'd started to bring his qualities and his strengths back, as well as the reliability stuff. So I was really disappointed for him. Obviously the goal was a terrific moment for him, and it was obviously one we were hoping that he was going to hit a bit of a streak, speaking with his dad, which he's done numerous times. So I think, for me, for him, but we got it. But at the same point, at the age and the stage of his career at, and what we do here is make sure that he continues to learn the game. So it's not a out of sight, out of mind. We'll do video, we'll make sure that he continually progresses so that when he does return to training pre-season, he's in the best place possible.
You've mentioned it there about returning in the best place possible. He's a very strong character, very popular lad. Have you spoke to him? How is he mentally?
Yeah, he's okay. He's, I think, if you know Belly, one thing, he's quite level, he's quite calm, he's quite consistent with how he carries himself. So I think, it's quite refreshing. He's someone that's slightly different in terms of his obsessiveness, how he studies, he reads, etc. And again, I think, what he also understands is part and parcel of the industry is unfortunately picking up injuries. So he's obviously, with his dad and with everybody here and the people he knows, got a really good support network around him. So, he's going to need that. I'm sure we'll have, periods over the next few months where it can be challenging, but, we're all here to make sure that we help him.
I'm sure he will have a big group around him. On to Seb Palmer-Holden, who signed a new deal at Bristol City. He said he spoke with you this week and he joined you out on the training pitches. What did you speak about and how do you feel he fared in training?
Yeah, it was a good catch-up. It was a good opportunity to, to speak with him, see how he's finding it. He's one that I've watched numerous games on. Me and Brian have spoken a lot about him, but I also think, when you look at him and the progress he's made this season, he's in a good spot, and I have to give credit to Newport doing a great job with him. Sometimes you don't want to disturb or disrupt that, so we were quite conscious of the timing and the volume of conversation, not having a million voices in his head. So we've kind of let him crack on with it, and it was good to meet him this morning. Speaks extremely well. I liked his honesty, I liked his reflections on his game and how he sees that, and he did well in training. I think that's the bit in terms of it's sometimes difficult when training methods are different, different players, relationships. Obviously, programs are different, so he trained well today, and he's one that hopefully can continue doing for Newport what he's done, and obviously we'll then have an opportunity to look at him pre-season.
Switching focus now to the football of the weekend. Sheffield Wednesday, a trip to Hillsborough, a great result for them, winning 2 of their last 3 now. What kind of threat do they pose? Yeah,
we're going through the work at the minute as well, to be fair, to get ready. Obviously they made the change, obviously. Which, when you look at it, it's had a positive impact. There's obviously ideas and methods are now coming out, as you can see. I think, it's a difficult place to go, the fan base there in terms of, obviously, at the energy they create, but also, the players have got, they're well coached, they're well organised, they'll be difficult to beat, and they carry a threat, so we have to make sure that, ultimately we're ready, which we will be.
Sheffield Wednesday fans have taken to him very well. He's very popular despite sitting in the bottom 3. What do you make of his style of play and how has he won those fans over?
Yeah, I think it starts with honesty, starts with the behaviours. I think, the players are working extremely hard, extremely competitive. It's run at the weekend against Millwall, extremely aggressive and on the front foot, which, again, knowing obviously Sheffield Wednesday in terms of when we've been there before, is, the fans respond to that, and I think that's fans anywhere, right? I think if you see players, on the front foot trying to, take a control of the game and show a level of aggression. So, again, I think they've done a terrific job of that, and he's obviously adapted well to Championship football, which isn't easy. So, I think he's obviously made a positive start.
I'm sure it'll be an entertaining game there. We've got a few faces now back fit. Mark Sykes came off the bench the weekend. Scott Twine on the bench brings selection headaches, which must be a good thing, of course. But with players coming back from injury, they must be really eager to go straight back into that side. But how do you manage that expectation, and how do they earn a spot in the starting 11?
Yeah, probably 2 questions I think there. I think the first one, obviously, with the injury to Belly at the weekend, I knew that Twiney and Sykes, he wouldn't get, in terms of a higher risk and wouldn't be able to last the full game. So Dia then changed them again, which obviously I decided not to, rightly or wrongly. But again, I think, when you look at it, their level in training, Twiney's looked a lot sharper today than what he did the back end of last week, naturally. So he's obviously pushing, as is Sykes. Sykes' finishing was outstanding today, to be fair to him. So they're 2 that, are going to play, they'll get their opportunity. And like I said, I think culturally what you've seen with the lads, have done a terrific job of putting the team first. So, we've obviously had to make tweaks and changes, and we've done it, whether it be for physical reasons or even sometimes just for game plan and how we think we can get success in certain games. And the lads have kept their head down, worked, and when called upon have stepped up and delivered, and it'll be no different for them too, lads.
Another player who's seen out training is Cam Pring. Is he available for selection this weekend?
Yeah, Pring is a lot closer, so his first session back out today. We'll obviously see how he responds to the work we've done, and then he'll be back out and training on Thursday.
We've just come out of a really, really busy run of fixtures. We've got 5 games now before the international break, which seems light in comparison. Do you look at those as a block of 5 fixtures, or do you focus on the next game and then the next one after that? How do you work?
Yeah, game by game. I think that's the biggest bit for me. I think so much can happen between now and game 2 or game 3 in that block that if you focus too much time and energy, actually you take your eye off the most important thing, which is making sure that we respond to Saturday by a good performance and result hopefully this coming Saturday. So for me, it's very much that game by game. I know obviously really fortunate with the staff we've got here that there'll be certain members of staff that will be working for Cardiff and beyond that. So we have to make sure that we are proactive. But in terms of my energy and the immediate staff, we have to make sure that we give everything to the players to be best prepared for Saturday.